He is Frank William Abagnale Jr., born in New Rochelle, New York in 1948 to an American father named William Frank Abagnale and a French mother called Paula. He is the third among his brothers, as he has an older twin and a younger sister. At the age of 16, his parents divorced, which Frank could not bear, so he fled one of the court sessions and began his career in illegal business. Frank's father was the first victim of fraud, as he gave him a credit card to buy fuel for the car, but Frank took advantage of the opportunity and began buying car parts that only existed on paper because he agreed with one of the gas station employees to put the value of the car parts on his father's account, and then they would share the amount together. The value of the amount reached $3,400, equivalent to $28,394 in 2019, and Frank, who was only 15 years old when he committed it, was not held accountable for this crime. Frank's first trick was by writing personal checks to withdraw money, but that was only for a short period before the bank asked him to pay, which led him to open different accounts in several banks with false identities. Later, he invented other ways to deceive banks, such as printing checks similar to bank checks and convincing banks disburse it from his accounts. Abagnale decided to impersonate a pilot in order to be able to cash checks more legally. He obtained the official uniform from Pan American Airlines after claiming that he had lost his uniform while cleaning his room in the hotel in which he was staying. Of course, he obtained the uniform with a false identity and then forged a pilot's certificate from the Administration Federal Aviation Authority. Abagnale noticed that his hair had become grey, which he used to impersonate a pilot because grey hair made him appear older than his real age and also made him more professional than he was. Because of his work as a pilot, he travelled thousands of miles and stayed in hotels for free, and the airline was who covered the expenses of food and accommodation. But he did not actually fly Pan Am planes and was adept at evading that during his frequent travel on police planes, knowing that his deception would be revealed by the real pilots. But he sometimes sat with the crew in the cockpit and dated many flight attendants. Pan American estimates that Abagnale illegally traveled to 66 countries over a distance of more than 1,109 kilometers using deadheading, a pilot traveling as a passenger to pick up a plane from another airport. Abagnale claimed that he worked for one semester as a sociology instructor at Brigham Young University under the name Frank Adam, but the university denied this claim. It was very easy to impersonate a doctor. He worked for about a year as a pediatrician in a hospital in the state of Georgia under the name Frank Williams, and in his application for housing, he wrote, under the previous job title, the profession of a doctor, for fear that the housing owner would discover that he worked as a pilot for Pan American. He shared the apartment with a real doctor, and he worked as a supervising doctor for the trainees until another doctor was found to replace him. He never bothered to work because he was not assigned any medical work in this position. When dealing with patients, he consulted internal doctors to take care of the matter. He almost found out about Abagnale when an infant was exposed to a critical state of lack of oxygen and was about to suffocate, and he did not understand what the nurse meant by saying, "Blue baby." Abagnale ran out of skin when the hospital brought in a replacement supervisor, and he was able to leave the hospital without being found out. Abagnale pursued a career as a lawyer after forging a law degree from Harvard University, passing the eligibility exam, and obtaining a job as a prosecutor in the state of Louisiana when he was 19 years old. Abagnale told a flight attendant whom he had been married for a short time that he studied law at Harvard University. She introduced him to a friend of hers who told him that the court needed lawyers and he had to apply to join it. So Abagnale forged his university certificate and took the bar exam. Although he failed twice to pass the exam, he was able to pass the exam, passing it legally after 8 weeks of real study. Many questions were asking Abagnale about his studies and graduation from Harvard University, and he was not able to answer any of them because he had not attended the university in the first place. After 8 months of impersonating a lawyer, he decided to leave the position after learning that there was a young man who doubted him. It is mentioned that the law firm was Abagnale's last illegal profession.